Have you ever walked up to your bike and seen your chain hanging a little low and thought, nah, it's probably good enough? Well, good enough does not cut it. You need to check and adjust your chain tension at least every 500 miles. I'm going to show you how to do it in this video from the MC Garage. All right guys, chain slack. This is a fundamental piece of maintenance right up there with checking your tire pressures and your engine oil. That means it's pretty straightforward, very easy to do, but also really important. So, why does chain slack matter? A too loose chain could jump off the sprocket, bind up, and chuck you on the ground. A too loose chain could also slap around a lot, which is going to make a bunch of noise, and it's also going to increase driveline lash. On the flip side, a too tight chain, while less common, is also a bad thing. It's going to put too much tension on your chain and sprockets and wear out those components, and it also could inhibit your rear suspension action. So, chain slack is important, but how do you know how much slack your bike should have? Your best bet is to look for the specification in your motorcycle's owner's manual or on the sticker on the swing arm. As a general rule, the spec for street bikes is going to be between 30 and 40 millimeters. Checking your owner's manual is also going to tell you whether to check the slack with your bike on the side stand or with it held vertical on a paddock stand. Armed with the slack specification, it's time to take some measurements. Using a ruler or a tape measure placed on the underside of the swing arm, midway between the sprockets, pull the chain down and, using a link pin as a reference point, note the measurement. Then push the chain up and take the measurement again. Calculate the difference between these two figures, and that is your total chain slack. If you're not interested in doing complex, high-level mathematics, there are some pretty simple tools on the market to help you check chain slack. This little guy from Motion Pro is 15 bucks and it spits out a total number for your chain slack. If you're interested, I'll put a link in the description so you can check it out. Okay, so we've put a bunch of miles in this little Z125 Pro, and I just measured the chain slack and it's at 35 millimeters. The spec is 20 to 35, so it's right on the loose end of things. That means it's time to tighten things up. First, crack the axle nut loose. Don't spin it off, just loosen it enough to allow the rear wheel to move in the swing arm. There are several different styles of axle adjusters out there, and most are going to have a lock nut that you need to crack free. Then turn the adjuster a quarter turn at a time to shift the axle position and change the chain slack. There are, of course, adjusters on both sides of the axle, and when you're changing your chain tension, it's very important that you make sure that your wheel is straight. To do that, you're going to want to reference these little tick marks on the swing arm and on the plate here on the axle and make sure that they match on both sides. These tick marks are more of a suggestion than a definitive measurement, and while there are a couple of methods for verifying wheel alignment, we're going to save those for another video. Okay, so you've made an adjustment. Now you want to recheck the chain tension. As simple as this procedure is, you may find that it takes a little trial and error, so you might have to do a few attempts before you get the chain tension exactly where you want it. Once you think you've got it, put a rag or a screwdriver in the sprocket and turn the wheel to pull the axle against the adjusters. Then tighten down your axle nut to the torque listed in your owner's manual. With that done, go ahead and pull the rag or your screwdriver out of there and tighten down your lock nuts. And then recheck your slack one more time to make sure it's within spec. With that done, you might as well put some cleaner on a rag and wipe your chain down and then spray a shot of lube on there. And that's it, one of the most basic maintenance procedures there is, so you don't have any excuse not to do it. If you've got any questions or if you want to suggest a video topic for us to cover, leave it in the comments section below. Until next time, ride safe.